My name's Matt Clemmens. I do 4 different things in town here. I grew up in Sacramento. I went to Cal State Monterey Bay for my undergrad. I had a computer science degree, and then I went to UC Davis for my MBA. And I started a company while I was in college called Digital Deployment, and it was my way of paying my way through school. And now it's grown into a multi-million-dollar company located here in Sacramento. It does website development for institutions, nonprofits, and associations. So we've done everything from, like, we're doing CalSTRS, the new CalSTRS.com right now, to Jesuit High School, to different schools at UC Davis, to things like Weave, United Way, Make-A-Wish Foundation in Los Angeles, who was exhibited at the Smithsonian. So we've enjoyed a great deal of success and growth, and I've learned a lot, because it was just me for a long time, and then I really had ambitions to grow the company. I feel like I'm still just in my infancy. I also am on the board of a nonprofit called Reason to Party. It was founded in San Francisco 3 years ago, and I brought it here to Sacramento in addition to helping getting it going there. And Reason to Party throws awesome events that help benefit nonprofits. So each time there's a different beneficiary. So this next upcoming party, we're going to be benefiting the Verge. So we're going to have an event at the Elks Tower and their new 13th floor penthouse that is the cool wine, Woodbridge wine. So that's kind of cool. We had our last event was at Old Sugar Mill in Clarksburg. So we had 550 people out there, and it was really awesome. I also am the Chief Technology Officer of a San Francisco startup called Artify-It, and Artify-It is a company that's venture funded, and what it does is it's kind of like the Netflix model for art. So it allows people to pay $50 a month, and then they can have art in their home delivered and installed, and it's local art, so it's like the local artist's work. And so we have curated over, I think, 100 artists in our database right now. It's San Francisco, and now it's starting to expand to other areas, but we also deliver to Sacramento, so if you're interested, we're expanding to LA. We just see this awesome ability, because, you know, artists create this work, and then they have to store it, and they have to do something with it, and it will appreciate in value. So we said, well, why not put it on people's walls where it will gain exposure and provide the artist gets half the revenue, so it's a sustainable source of living for them. So we're really excited to have that. And then the last thing I do is I'm a part owner of a company called GrogTag, which makes, it's like do-it-yourself beer labels, and it's powered through websites. It's very random. So it's for home brewers, and pretty much home brewers love it. It offends everybody else, but they're pretty cool. So
I home brew. What is it?
Grogtag.com.
GrogTag.
GROGTAG.com. And it's got a kind of a silly, cool website.
All right.
So yeah, check it out. I'm going to share briefly like 5 lessons in leadership that I gained from my own meandering experience, and then I want to shift to share one slide of some awesome tools that you should check out. I actually looked at all of your websites, and I have feedback for all of them too. So if you want, I'm happy to share that. And some of the tools I have are specifically recommended to you in ways that you can really drive your various goals. And then immediately into questions and answers. So 5 lessons in leadership. Sounds like a title of a book. Maybe it's the start. The first lesson is involving is better than selling. So, you know, we've all heard, oh, there's a recession, people don't have any money, they don't want to donate, they don't want to buy, etc., etc. All of you are in some way selling something, whether it's ad space, whether it's tickets, whether it's ad space on yours or squares, sponsorships. The most important thing, I think, is to gain involvement if you focus on your human capital. So United Way took this on, and it was very successful for them. They kicked off their Live United campaign. They said, well, screw raising money in the recession. Let's not focus on that. Let's focus on getting people to live united, to volunteer. Because every volunteer is worth $3,000 in donations down the road. So you're building lifelong contributors. It's one thing to ask me for money, and it's another thing to get me to come and, you know, spend all day getting sunburned, chalking on the sidewalk. It's a very, very different deal. And if you can offer the ability to be involved, offering tickets to a show, as Tina recommended, that was a great idea. Because I came to see Merrily We Roll Along, and I know exactly what you do. And I'm like, that is really important. And then making sure that you know the Dan Brunners of the world to give you money and that sort of stuff. It says, you know, I'm an ally, I'm enrolled in what you're doing. That's key. So That's the first lesson. Any thoughts or questions about that? Second one, productize your offering. So here's an example. I thought this was great. Chalk it up. Here's a picture of you buy a square. In general, like, people often try to sell their causes as they sell the greater good of what they do, but it doesn't register for people right away. People really resonate with things that are material. So Make-A-Wish Foundation, they sell a wish. You can even sell small things like one lesson or one after-school lesson. So if Matt Cusick was here and he was doing after-school programs for art, we could say, Matt, why don't you offer as a website, instead of donate now, $10, $50, $100, why don't you do like an after-school lesson workshop, or one student at the after-school lesson. You just put prices on them, so that's $50. Let's say that throwing a workshop costs $250 and it has 5 people. People are donating not just to give you $50 to go to who knows what, you say $50 to go to have one student in this workshop on this day. Like, the more real you can make it, it's like browsing a product aisle, and you stick a price on it and then they see what they're going to get. So make your good very tangible whenever possible. So yeah, with you, I mean, just be really descriptive and visual even when you're showing people their ad space. Like, show an example and say like, okay, you're going to be placed here in this many printed publications with this much circulation. Be extremely specific. Carrie, if you are going to create an independent fashion magazine, talk about like what kind of product placement they're going to get, what they're going to see, how many visitors you get to your site, etc. And they can really picture themselves there. So offer them a vision of what they're going to see. Because see, if I see this, I'm like, oh, that's what I'm going to get when I buy. It was what, $100 a square?
150.
150 bucks a square. It's like, okay, cool. And you see the kids, and you see the environment, you know it's going to get exposure, it's people coming together, it's awesome. Tell a story. So I was sorry that...
Is that why they're not here? Did they jump off?
Sophia.
She jumped off?
I just got an email, they had a client presentation today at 3, so it's like,
so this is another thing that nonprofits, the ones that do well, it can be very, very effective. The Nonprofit Resource Center had this as the theme of one of their conferences. If you can tell a story about the value of your product and how it impacts the community, you can be more successful in getting people on board. So if Connor, you talked about how people, by getting involved in, like let's say you had an after-school program or something, kids got involved in that after-school program and then they stopped being in gangs, or stopped, that you reduced violence, or you increased enrollment in school, you prevented dropouts, and you talk about the impact that it has, and then you share the story of the people in that. So one specific one would be like, how murals eliminated the graffiti problem, and talk about that maybe the walls kept getting graffitied, and then after doing a mural in a space, you completely eliminated that problem. So share like the impact that it has. Also with Make-A-Wish, we did the Make-A-Wish Foundation website design, and every time you come to the homepage, we did photo shoots. These are wish kids with life-threatening conditions. I think he has cancer, and each time you come back, there's a different image of a different kid, or if you just refresh. So it's always showing you new kids, and that's extremely compelling. That's the most important thing that they produce, so you get to see the product right there. Hope, strength, and joy for Corey. I get it. That's what my money's going toward. Because a wish is like $2,250 or something, $2,250. It's a big buy, but it's so clear what you're giving to, and then you just want to manage the overhead. So whenever possible, tell a story. Lesson number 3. Two other lessons. Get a great lawyer and a great accountant. Always have great legal advice and a great accountant advising you. I can't tell you how important that is. It's very, very important. Like oftentimes people will loan you, well, I'll tell you a little story actually about, with digital deployment. In 2008 I needed to incorporate. So I had somebody that I knew, like a friend of a friend, a local yokel, was like, oh yeah, I'll do your incorporation. Okay, well, it's going to be about $2,000, it's going to require this and this form and that form, and it just seemed like it was sort of complicated. It's like, okay, that's fine. And then I went and I double checked and I called Downey Brand, which is our primary firm, and it's a rather expensive but very, very awesome law firm. And to call my lawyer, who's $450 an hour there. He goes, oh yeah, just go on LegalZoom. It takes like a half an hour and you'll just be done, and then I'll just fix a couple things that we need to do for California that they don't quite do right. Yeah, I'll just send it over. And he didn't even bill me for the time. And then he made he just sent me over the corrections, and it was like $40. And then it was, what was it, like 100 something on LegalZoom for the process for the S Corp. So I was like, oh my gosh. So sometimes when you go get really good advice, it saves a lot of money in the long term. And I found that way with really good lawyers. They're extremely efficient and awesome, and they just make problems disappear. So definitely don't cut corners on that. Also, a great accountant can keep you out of trouble. I've been through 2 audits with digital deployment, and it used to be difficult because I did it to pay my way through school, and I was always strapped for money, and I was putting everything on credit cards, and I was trying to pay my tuition, and it was just very, very stressful. And so I didn't keep very good books. I didn't have a shoebox, or it got lost in my dorm room or whatever. And then I got audited because I started to make more money, and it was kind of a catastrophe. So, everything survived. The IRS, I found, is actually very polite and nice. They're just pretty firm about what you have to do. And I had a great accountant, and then I got a great bookkeeper. Even just at the time, it was just a part-time thing to help bail me out, and my mom who had stepped in to help a little bit too with the bookkeeping, and that was magic. And then the audit, the next time when they brought me in, it was just poof, no problem. So definitely those 2 things are very important, and I've heard a lot of business people come in and tell me that too when I was in the graduate school management program. They'll say good accountants, good lawyers, and that really eliminates your risk.
I'm surprised that your examples were positive ones. Because most people, when they're saying you need to get a good lawyer or accountant, and I've run these businesses, here's why, and it's I got totally screwed and was out so much money, or I had this company and the client imploded because it didn't work, whatever. But
give him 40 years to get the hope beat out of him first, and then tell more juicy stories when he's 60.
Well, I would say that the first few years are extremely difficult. So I'm in year 9 of digital deployment. I'm 29 years old. I started when I was 20. So almost a decade. I'm getting really old.
Oh my gosh.